Will the drama ever end? The feud between Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and Justin Baldoni over the summer smash hit It Ends With Us is still going on. So there's a lot of new stuff that we want to cover today. These are the burning questions that everyone is asking right now. Did Blake Lively develop feelings for Justin Baldoni during the making of It Ends With Us? Is Ryan Reynolds this controlling guy who got super jealous and then demanded to have control over so many parts of the movie, including the script? Is Ryan behind this lawsuit because he just wants to humiliate Blake and get back at Justin? Was there a moment that made him snap and interfere? These are all the questions that people are asking now. So let's do a really quick 30-second recap of what has happened so far. So It Ends With Us was a PR disaster. Blake dug herself into a hole during the press junket. The internet totally turned on her and a lot of people hate her now. She then filed an 80-page complaint with the California Civil Rights Department accusing Justin Baldoni of being a predator who sexually harassed her. And then the New York Times did a huge hit piece also on Justin Baldoni, essentially claiming the same things, that he was a predator. And then Justin filed a bombshell lawsuit against the New York Times, and then another one against Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds with a ton of evidence showing all these unedited text messages and emails and correspondence to show that Blake has been lying. So now that brings us here. And I know a lot of people are like, why do you care about this drama? It's just Hollywood. You know what? I'm invested. I'm not above it. I'm in it. I am not above this Hollywood drama. I am so into it. I have to get to the bottom of this. So let's talk about this gag order that Ryan Reynolds demanded after Justin Baldoni released these videos and a lot of correspondence. And he even threatened to make a website that would release all of the correspondence between him and Blake Lively, because this guy obviously has nothing to hide at this point. He wants to get the truth out. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds demand gag order on Justin Baldoni's lawyer after video release. So this is now after Justin Baldoni released behind the scenes footage from It Ends With Us. And in a letter to Judge Louis J. Lyman in the Southern District of New York on Tuesday, attorneys for Ryan and Blake accused Baldoni and his legal team of continuing their, quote, harassing and retaliatory media campaign against Blake with, quote, almost daily media statements or other releases to the press, according to court documents. Now, this filing came after Justin's attorneys released the behind the scenes footage of an intimate scene that Justin and Blake were filming in the romantic drama. Now, you may remember this. This is when they were slow dancing in the bar. And this actually made up a really small part of the film. It wasn't a huge scene. It was just they took slow-mo clips from this and inserted it into a sort of montage to show Blake and Justin's characters falling in love. Now, during this behind the scenes footage, you can see them talking, you can hear them, they're hooked up to the camera, they're pretending like they're in love, and they're joking with each other, they have a good rapport. There's nothing happening here that would ever indicate that Justin is some kind of predator, which of course is Blake and Ryan's claim. In response to this, Ryan and Blake's attorneys are seeking an appropriate protective order to curb Friedman's, that's Baldoni's lawyer, his non-litigation statements, as well as a hearing to, quote, address the appropriate conduct of counsel moving forward. Blake and Ryan are pissed off. This has not gone the way that they would hoped it would have gone. Because remember, when Blake first released that 80-page complaint to the California Civil Rights Department, their hope was that the entire world would see Justin Baldoni as some kind of creep, some predator who deserved to lose work, and he was even dropped from his talent agency. There are some things indicating that he did lose work and he did lose money over these accusations. But now that Justin and his attorneys are releasing all of this footage, releasing all this correspondence, it's just not going well for Ryan and Blake. And you don't demand a gag order unless the other party is saying something that you don't want people to hear. And obviously, Justin and his team of attorneys are saying things that make Blake and Ryan seem crazy, and at the very least, it seem like liars. And now Blake and Ryan have also pissed off somebody named Steve Sarowitz, who is a part owner of Wayfarer Studios. And this billionaire funder is named in Blake and Ryan's lawsuit. And Sarowitz was mentioned multiple times in the lawsuit that came out against Baldoni and Wayfarer Studios. So in one section of the filing, Blake alleges that Sarowitz provided input and ideas on ways to negatively influence the narrative against Blake and her family. Sarowitz is a billionaire, co-founder of Wayfarer Studios. He responded for the first time about the situation by telling Forbes that, quote, the actual harassment and smear campaign both occurred and continues to occur against us. He added that Lively was spreading vicious lies about my business partners. So Ryan and Blake have pissed off a billionaire, and Ryan and Blake are worth quite a bit. I believe Ryan Reynolds' net worth is maybe like not even $500 million. I would guess to say between 300 to 400 million, something like that. Steve Sarowitz is obviously worth a lot more. So if Blake and Ryan want to keep this legal battle going, I don't think it's going to turn out well, because Sarowitz has much deeper pockets and he has more to give and more effort to spend on this lawsuit. And plus, it really, at this point, it really seems like Steve Sarowitz and Justin Baldoni have the truth on their side. Because if you remember, if you look at Justin's lawsuit, it's 176 pages. There's a lot of information in there. It is chock full of unedited, untouched evidence that proves Blake was lying about a variety of things. So for example, Justin not hiring an intimacy coordinator, Justin showing up unannounced in her trailer. These were both disproved through emails and text messages. Blake was inviting him into her trailer while she was pumping. The claim was that Justin was predatory, but they were actually friends. There were a lot of text messages between the two of them that was really friendly and indicated a good rapport, a good relationship. And it turned out that Blake was actually the one who was initiating unscripted kisses. Oh, how the tables have turned. And then Justin's lawsuit also indicated that Blake was trying to seize creative control over the film. Apparently, allegedly, she was even trying to get into the editing room without Justin being present. And through this whole process, it really seems like the New York Times is cooked more than anybody else, because this whole thing, I mean, honestly, Justin's lawsuit against the New York Times in particular, I think he's going to win that one, because it's clear that the New York Times did not even give him a minute to respond and to defend himself. It was obviously a hit piece from the very beginning. And this is something that was allegedly fueled by Ryan Reynolds. Remember, he gave the ultimatum also to the talent agency. He's like, it's either him or it's us. So that's one of the reasons, that's the reason that they dropped Justin Baldoni from their list. There are also some rumors going around that Taylor Swift came in and sort of pushed her power on the New York Times and convinced them to file this hit piece against Justin Baldoni. And it really seems in Justin's lawsuit that he can prove real damages here. He can prove that he lost work, that he lost money because of the smear campaign, because of these lies. And this is an important piece to remember through this whole thing. Guys, this is what the media does. This is what the legacy media does. New York Times, Wall Street Journals, these are not investigative journalists. They are hitmen. They are hitmen. They are always out to get somebody. This is something that we've learned over the last 10 years. And of course, you can even bring it back to Trump. They've done this for how many years in the media with people like Trump? They're now doing it to Justin Baldoni. They will go for anybody as long as the right people are backing them to do it. And I think it's a good thing that Justin is now suing them, because he's opening the eyes of many people who may have been a little bit late to this and they haven't really seen this before. But the media loves doing hit pieces, and they went after Justin. They ruined his reputation temporarily. Do you remember how quickly everybody jumped on the Blake train? They were coming out and saying things like, Justin is a predator. He's sexually harassing women. He needs to be locked up. Me too. I believe her. They were going through all of this stuff without even giving Justin Baldoni a second to defend himself. And that's when he said, you know what? Fine. I'm going to get together a team of lawyers and I'm going to slap them with a lawsuit for $400 million to prove my innocence. Honestly, this whole thing is turning out to be worse than Amber Heard. Do you remember how the media for so long made Johnny Depp to be this like horrible abuser, and Amber Heard was just a victim? Hashtag me too. What a victim. She turned out to be even worse, but I still think that this is an even bigger deal than Amber Heard. And it seems like Blake Lively in this situation is going to be even worse. It's going to turn out worse for her than it did for Amber. Now, there are tons of theories out there, and there's one theory that we have to get into because this is a big one. Did Blake Lively develop feelings for Justin Baldoni? This is a big question that everybody is asking now. There are different sides of the conversation. I've seen people claim that they have inside sources on both sides. For example, Candace Owens is now leading the conversation. She has come forward with an anonymous source, and this is where it gets really juicy. Anybody who knows Candace, if you follow her, you know that when she gets into a story, she will not take her teeth out until she gets to the very bottom of it, which is why she does better investigative journalism than probably 99.9% of the people who claim to be investigative journalists.
So I get a message yesterday from somebody who's like inside. And they say, Candace, I don't know you, but I'm letting you know you are very close. You're missing just 5% of this story. Just 5%. I checked, make sure yes, this is person's on the inside. So I'm missing 5% of the story. And I like to get 100%. I really do. So I start thinking, I say to my husband, I think the part I'm missing is what set off the cannon, right? What sparked the cannon here? What made Ryan Reynolds march in and go, let me see the dailies. Let me see it. Let me see all the footage, right? Let me see the script. What's going on?
Was there a moment? Was there something that happened on set, behind the scenes, in someone's trailer that made Ryan Reynolds come in like Candace, what's happening? Let me see the dailies. And it's interesting, right? Because, okay, we know that Blake has a history of developing feelings and relationships with past co-stars. She dated Penn Badgley. There was that whole thing that maybe happened between her and Ben Affleck whenever they were filming The Town. There was a lot of rumors there. It seemed like the vibes were vibing. Obviously, she and Ryan Reynolds developed something when they were filming The Green Lantern. Ryan was still married to Scarlett Johansson at the time, but pretty much right after they broke up, Blake and Ryan came forward and they're like, we're together. And then soon enough, they were married. And if you've seen this movie, so, okay, I will say, I just watched this movie for the first time 2 nights ago. A friend of mine came over, finally got the kids down to sleep, and I had to watch this film because how many videos have I done on this topic so far? This may be my 4th or 5th video on It Ends With Us. And I was like, finally, it's on Netflix. Let's watch it. It was so bad. It was so bad. It was one of those horrible movies that you just can't peel your eyes away from. It's like entertaining. It's so bad. But there were so many scenes, more scenes than I expected, of Blake and Justin making out, caressing each other, staring into each other's souls, touching and being in love. And it was very, very intimate, like a lot of intimacy. Honestly, I was trying to cover my eyes at one point because it just makes me uncomfortable to see people make out so much on camera. I'm just like, I don't need to see that. But there's just a lot of it. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if something developed. I mean, you can't, it's very difficult to make out with somebody multiple times a day on set, to pretend to fall in love with them, to touch them, caress them for however many hours you have to do it on camera, and then there not be any feelings at all there. I mean, that's why we see so many celebrities get together after working together. Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield, Rachel McAdams and Ryan Gosling. We've seen this so many times. So it's not a bad theory, especially if you've seen the movie and you see how much they had to be physically intimate in some way with one another. It's really not a bad theory. And then you also throw into the mix the fact that we have heard before, rumors have flown around that Ryan Reynolds can be controlling. So Scarlett Johansson hinted one time in an interview, this is a long time ago, way after they broke up, because they officially divorced in 2011. Blake and Ryan married in 2012. But after they split up a while afterwards, Scarlett Johansson said in an interview that there was a past relationship where it didn't work out because the guy did not like her growing success in the industry. And it became something that was in between their relationship. So there have been a lot of rumors that not only does Ryan Reynolds like younger women, I believe they're 10 years apart, 10-ish years apart. Not only does he like younger women, but he likes to be in control. He likes to be involved. He likes to be on top of whatever his girlfriend/wife is doing. And then in this TikTok, Candace also pulls out some footage of Ryan apparently trying to do these sort of like funny interviews and scenes, not only in Deadpool. Remember, he does that scene in Deadpool where there's like a version of Deadpool that comes out that's essentially Justin Baldoni. He's making fun of him. There's another sort of part of the press junket they did where he came out with Blake's co-star Brandon Sklenar, who played Atlas, and they're doing this sort of supposedly cutesy interview. But Ryan is talking to him in a way that he obviously wants to talk to Justin.
Oh, God. It's not every day the husband gets to interview his wife's love interest in a film. It's kind of crazy. Guys, I did. Shall we? So I saw you posing in a photo with Mrs. Reynolds, and so what do you call her? You guys have a nickname or something? Okay, no, just so it's Mrs. Reynolds.
It's not every day a guy gets to interview the love interest of his best friend's wife, and the guy trying to replace Ryan as a husband, and me as his best mate.
And then it gets weirder, you guys. Ryan Reynolds' mom comes out. Okay, so this whole skit continues. Ryan's mom comes out and like pretends to grill Brandon. It's just such a weird way to promote the movie. Remember during the summer, they tried to mash together Deadpool, Wolverine, and It Ends With Us. Like they were trying to copy Barbie and Oppenheimer a couple years ago. It did not work out the same way. And during this skit, it's ironic, isn't it, that he's directing these questions, Ryan's directing these questions at Brandon, because if you watch the film, you saw that Blake Lively and Brandon Sklenar, they really didn't have that many scenes together, and they didn't kiss, they didn't make out, they weren't doing love scenes together together, love-making scenes together throughout the movie. It was very minimal. Their interaction in the movie was very minimal compared to what she and Justin Baldoni were filming together in the movie. So it's ironic that he's directing all of these questions jokingly at Brandon. I mean, we all know in his mind, he wants to do this and direct these questions at Justin. So all of this leads people to ask, what's really going on here with Ryan? How much is he behind this? How much was he behind the orchestration of Blake's very first complaint? Was he the one who forced Blake to come forward and claim that Justin was some sort of predator?
On Ryan Reynolds' ego. This is the entire thing is being driven by Ryan Reynolds. This is not even, before I was like, this is like Blake Lively trying to Me Too. My viewpoint is Blake Lively has nothing to do with what is happening. Her husband has come undone. And there's so much that I want to say here because I'm very disturbed by it. Like, first and foremost, what's now becoming very clear to me is that Blake Lively developed some feelings for for Justin Baldoni on set. Has happened to her. There's no question in my mind that Blake Lively caught real feelings for Justin Baldoni. That comes across when you read his filings and you see how easily he disputes all of her narratives. And the thing is why I say this is not a real lawsuit. And Ryan Reynolds knows this, is because he's got everything on camera, okay? There's even one part of the lawsuit where he says, like, you know, this whole idea is like a sexual harassment. She invited him to her penthouse and like he was holding her baby. Like the guy that sexually harassed, you're not having him to your house and letting him hold your kids. Like this is 10 times worse than the Amber Heard lawsuit. It will be 10 times worse for Blake Lively if she is meant to hit this stand. And what alarms me, and this is quite ironic, it's like a dark irony here, is this film is about domestic abuse. What is happening now, in my view, is Ryan Reynolds is now abusing his wife. He's using, this is like litigation abuse. He is trying to inflict pain. Again, this is my perspective, pain and punishment, because he has come undone, realizing that she had some sort of like an emotional affair with Justin Baldoni. I mean, the way this lawsuit describes is like they were writing into the night together. She was like laughing until she was crying. Like, and again, he's got this on camera. The way that he just dropped that scene on camera.
Like I said earlier, when Candace gets her teeth into a story, she is going to get to the bottom of it. For those of you who are new to my channel, you may not know, I used to work for Candace. I was her manager before I became a boring stay-at-home mom. I worked with her and I've seen her dig into stories, and I've seen the correspondence that she gets from people who are like sending her things as sources. There are a lot of celebrities who message her and tell her stuff. Like she is a machine that gathers information. And so I love watching her sink her teeth into a story because you know she's going to get to the bottom of it. So she's talking about this last 5% that she's trying to dig up and uncover. She said, we've got about 95% of the story. What was it that made Ryan snap? What made him decide to push this lawsuit and try to ruin Justin Baldoni's life? Because that is what Blake and Ryan have done. They have attempted to ruin his career and ruin his life. And they have elicited the help of things like the New York Times, of celebrities like Taylor Swift. Even though Taylor Swift has never come out and explicitly supported them, I'm sure that behind the scenes, she is helping them pull strings. And look, and we know that Ryan Reynolds has a history of being kind of difficult to work with. So Brett Cooper here, she quote tweeted this quote from Deadline. It says, "This is a case about two of the most powerful stars in the world deploying their enormous power to steal an entire film right out of the hands of its director and production studio." So that's a quote from Justin Baldoni's attorney, Brian Friedman, in their 179-page filing. Brett quote tweets this, and she says, "Let's not forget the reason the original Deadpool director quit. It was clear Ryan wanted control and he couldn't work under those conditions. Patterns really makes you think." But there's also stuff like this. So this person at Bark Jack says, "The story about Blake Lively coming on to director Justin Baldoni are 100% false. We had sources on set. She just came in trying to overstep her role. She wanted creative control. She wanted the final say and the last word. When he asserted his role as director, she snapped." Apparently, inside sources say that there were no feelings between them, that she just got really mad because she couldn't have the control she wanted. And then she got even more mad because she realized that the way that she handled the press junket did not turn out well, and it made everybody online hate her. So who knows what's going on here? I'm still not fully convinced that Blake developed feelings for Justin. I think she got her husband involved because she probably got really embarrassed. She just got really humiliated by the way that the whole internet turned on her, even though it was of her own doing. So I don't know. Maybe Blake did develop feelings for Justin. I want to know what you guys think in the comment section. Tell me, did she fall for Justin? Ryan found out, he went nuts and came undone, as Candace said. Or is this just a story of these actors and producers who were just at odds with each other and the whole press junket fell flat and they end up hating each other? So let me know what you guys think. I'm sure the story will develop more. I've done so many videos on this, but I'm still invested. We're going to take it all the way to the end. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. If you enjoyed the video, please share it with somebody, and we'll see you guys on the next one.